So today I am going to turn this rim tire into a tubeless system. What you're going to need is some sort of tire sealant. I happen to have Orange Seal Endurance. It stays wet a little longer than the standard. Rim tape to cover up your holes, and a tubeless valve. Just make sure you get the length you need for the rim. You can always order a long one, but just make sure you get the right one before you start. And I'll show you how I do this. So what I like to do is find the valve hole. Should be opposite of the seam. There you go. I like to overlap it by a couple inches. And you're going to want to be able to, you're going to want the tape about the same width as your rim. This rim's got little catches where it's a bead hook. So if you had it going up to the bead hook, you'd be pretty good. But I like to go over. And I'm going to overlap the valve hole by, who knows, 2 inches. And you're going to want to pull tight. Have a little bit of, looks like brass. There we go, get that off of there. And you're going to want to pull tight all the way around. You're going to want a nice tight seal. Give it a good snug pull. And keep the tape centered. And what the tape does is it seals the valve holes. So that way air doesn't escape. Some rim tapes on the market are stretchier than others. This is WTB. I get it because it's the same as the Stan's tape. And the WTB valves are the same as the Stan's valves. And the WTB sealer is the same as the Stan sealer, so it's just rebranded. Alright, so I'm almost all the way around, and I'll go about 2 inches past the valve hole on this side too. Boom. And one thing I didn't get ready was a scissor, because, you know, can't think of everything all the time. I'll go find scissors. Found some scissors. And I'd like to get it as smooth as possible. A wrinkle here and there is not that big of a deal. Where's the valve? Right there. So right about there I'll cut. And there you go. And I'm just gonna push as many air bubbles out of this as I can where it seals. I'm just going to use my thumb and go around and press the center. Got a little wrinkling there, which is okay. Some trapped air bubbles. And that's also okay, because once you put air in it, it squeezes it all down. And the bead locks from the tire rim go into the edges here and seal it all up really good. Stretchier tapes will go on smoother than tapes that don't have a lot of flex. But I've learned that you can even make a tubeless system using duct tape. So now I am going to take a pen, take a pencil, take a take a tip of a knife and awl, just something pointy, and find the valve hole and cut a nice sharp hole. Even better, I did have scissors ready. Okay, so find the valve hole, which is right there. And I am just going to put a nice, just a nice cross pattern there. And I'll use the valve cap just to make it round. When I put the valve on, I like to press down on it. There we go. I like to press down fairly firm. So I'll get this to seat all the way up. And what I'm going to do is press pretty firm on the valve. I want to make sure I get a good seal. Hand tight is usually enough because the sealer helps to make it stick. But I like to get it pretty firm, so I will actually use back end of a screwdriver or wrench, whatever I have heavy, just to press it down a little bit firmer. And this way, when I release it, the valve's not going to move and it's going to stay tight. I've had them tightened before where I thought they were tight enough and then have them come loose. Over time, the rubber will give out and they get a little loose. You never want to get to the point where you can spin them because whatever sealant ended up sealing, it always ends up leaking there and you end up having to retape. Okay, that's tight. So now I will put the tire on. Now, with the reason a tubeless ready tire is better is because the bead is flexible. So when you have the tire on, if the tire starts flexing this way, the bead stays in place. If you have a steel bead, like what came on the Priority Sauce, the issue is if the tire flexes, you can burp the seal. So yes, you can pretty much make any tire tubeless, but it's just not going to last long, or it's not going to seal correctly under heavy abuse. I like to find a logo and I like to put it at the valve. That's just an OCD thing on my end. And the tape isn't all that durable, the valve sealing tape, so I try to get it on by hand as best as I can. And this last little bit I'm just not strong enough for. So out comes the tire lever. Now what I'll do is I try not to twist this up and rip the tape, so I kind of just baby it on. Now you're going to want to make sure that find the valve, and you want to make sure the tire's on the right side of the valve, proper side of the valve. I have put them on before where they both ended up on this side and it was hard to seal. It's an easy fix, you just pop it over. Now I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way around, and I'm going to leave a gap right there. And I will reposition my camera. and I find my sealant. Now with a new tire, you're going to want about, especially a 29 or 27 and a half, you're going to want about 4 ounces to start with. Bigger, fatter tires, you use more. If you're just topping off a tubeless, something that's already been set up, I mean, just a couple ounces will do. But this is a new setup, so yes, that looks like a real lot. Kind of is. And yeah, 27 and a half, 29, 3 to 4 ounces. That happens to be 4 ounces because this is an 8-ounce bottle. I essentially marked it in half. And one side was 1. So now I like to roll this to where the bead is connected underneath. This way I can work from the top and not get sealer all over the place. Let's try that. Let's try that view. Okay. So I'm going to hold one side and try not to hurt the tape. The good thing when it's tight like this and you can't put it on solely by hand, a lot of the times you're able to just use a hand pump and seal these. And we are going to find out if that's the case. If not, you'll need some sort of air compressor or air blaster to get it to seal. And I have both. But I will try the air pump first. See how lucky I get. Don't need it to get stuck under there. And I got amazingly lucky. And I will keep pumping until you hear beads start to pop into place. There's one. There we go. And I'll go up to about 50 psi. It's usually enough. It's a new tire, it's a new rim, so I'm not worried about it hurting anything. Bump, bump. Next thing I like to do is to swish the liquid around. And by rotating it and swishing the fluid in there, I'm able to get it up onto the beads. Now there's a lot of videos online. If you have a tight bead, they'll use soapy water around the bead. It also helps to keep it sealed. I was pretty fortunate I didn't have to do that with this. But if you're having problems, even with an air compressor, getting it to seal, you can always use soapy water along the bead, just like they do with the car tire. There you go. Now I'm going to look around the edges. These Conti tires don't have a defined edge to make sure that the bead is sitting all the way. A lot of them will have some sort of rib, and this doesn't seem to do that, but I can spin the tire and I can see if the tire wobbles, then I know. And this tire is running pretty true. That takes care of that. All right, let's get it on the bike. Here we go. I did order pieces to turn this into a quick release. They didn't come in yet, but for now I'm going to install it like this. Right now I have the lock ring on the loose side, only hand tight, because I know I have to take it apart to convert the axle over. And but for now I can make sure that I have the cog lined up and I can get the belt tension right and get it all set up. Is the quick release super important to me over the bolt-on? Not really. I know if I get a flat in the woods, a quick release is just nicer. And today everybody has to use some sort of, bolt-on, because with the through axles that are modern on a lot of bikes. Make sure this sits up hand tight. Hopefully it doesn't fall off while I get the Allen wrenches, which shouldn't be far. Of course, the one that's there is missing. I'm pretty sure it's an 8mm. There we go. I'm just going to lock one side down this way, because there's still a little tension on this belt. I could release the tension, but I know I can just do this. Pull up on it to make sure that the axle's sitting all the way in. And I'll do the same thing on this side. Bump. Bump. That's on. What I'm going to do is reset the belt tension. This was factory set. I'm loosening up the slider bolts. I'll have to watch my other video because I don't remember adjusting these. But I'm going to back them off so it's loose, and then I will get my belt tension tool. 3, 4, and then I can work the tension up until it works. So I got those backed off. You can back off these. It's kind of a cool setup to where they have not just one locking bolt, two, so you can totally once you get this set, you lock these two bolts against it, it can't slide. Most of them just have one adjuster as a stop, and once it's locked down, Make sure that these are loose enough so it'll slide and not scratch the paint. Basically, I'm just trying to get the washers away from the frame, and now you can see all loose. And let's go get my belt tension tool. There is an app you could put on your phone, but it's not all that great. Okay, I've got my, they call it a Cricut tool. And basically you press it down onto the belt. This thing slides up, and then you read the number, which I'm trying to get the focus here. Well, there's numbers on there. And essentially I'm looking for about 20 kilograms of force, or somewhere around the 45, I guess, pounds of force, because it lists kilograms and pounds. And on the phone app, it gives you a chart of recommended belt tensions for every style of bike, internal gear hubs, so on and so forth. Yes, so you put your finger through here, somewhere in the middle of the belt, and I can already tell that this is, yeah, you can see it's not intersecting any number, it's all the way up. So I gotta tighten this. I'm gonna back these out of the way completely. And this way they're not in my way when needed. 3, 4. So now I'm just going to let's try 3. I'll do 3 on the other. Make sure the wheel's even. Nope, same noise. Alright, I'm going to put it to where the wheel's centered. 1, 2. That looks pretty good. Hey. I have to ride it and see if I feel that noise under pressure. Like when I got the brake on, you could see that it's now I'm just being picky. Because that's what I do. My OCD is getting the best of me. Boom. Lock this down. Try not not to slip out like I did the other side. Tight, tight. Double check. Tight. Okay. Make sure these are locked on. Boop. Boop. And one last belt tension check. Perfect. Hair tight. Perfect. Good. You check it in 4 spots. That noise is a little upsetting, but once I get this locked in and locked down with my attachments, you should be good. And I did move it quite a bit. And yes, this is a pretty nice looking bike, and this is my 4th belt drive bike, and I've had nothing but good luck with them. As far as this noise, I know once I start riding it, it'll smooth right out, and I'm pretty convinced that the belt is nice and straight and in line. Doesn't look like it's off center anyways. I did measure the spacing from the cog to the frame on the other hub from the factory so I can get this in the same measurement, and I know that I'm not off within a millimeter, and the belt is flexible. It can handle that. And I wouldn't have the spacers to fix that to get it perfect anyways. But once I ride it, I will know for a fact if it starts clicking and making a lot of noise, I know that it's an alignment issue. Have a little runway here that I can check the belt. I can hear the clicking of the spokes because I just built these wheels, so there's a certain amount of unwinding that goes on. Oh yeah, she's pedal smooth. I don't hear any of that click, which means it's just brand new. I think it's a little wear in. Wow, no gears. There she is, the priority sauce. Tensioned to the Gates recommended tension. I really do love the look of this bike, you know, for basically an $800 bike. And spec'd very well. I mean, the hydraulic brakes work nice. They may be a house brand, but I swear to you, they're like a Tektro, just rebranded. It came with a, does it show it? Gotta get a good angle. Came with an FSA sealed bearing headset, which is very nice. And yeah, lock-on grips. It's a Sella Italia Sella Royale saddle. I mean, it may be an inexpensive saddle, but back here, it's got this where it pops out and you can pop in attachments. If I could find a cool enough looking seat bag that snaps in there, that would be cool. And yes, All I'm waiting for is my nice quick release and the attachments to come in. I do have a set of attachments, but it's for the Hope Pro 4 and different size axle on this one, so I had to order other ones. And yes, that is my priority sauce. And once I get the quick release upgrade, I'll post up a video on how simple it is to convert a Hope hub to practically any axle size with just end caps. Thank you for watching. Any questions, let me know.